Welcome back to the Homestead, Ice Storm Edition. Got back from work a little bit ago, and we are going to snowblow the driveway now because instead of, they were forecasting up to 10 inches of snow, but instead of snow, we got like junk. Let's see, here you go. You can see what we got here. It's like a couple inches of, well, first we got some freezing rain, and then we maybe got another couple inches of just garbage snow, and then actual rain over top of it. So the driveway, as you can see behind me, the ruts are melting down pretty good right now. We are down to dirt on the driveway in these ruts. So this should be a pretty good test of that pipe cutting edge, and it's gonna get cold tonight. It's gonna freeze up, so I can't let those ruts freeze in. I hate snow blowing slush because that thing always freezes up. Snowblowers in general don't mix well with slush. It's gonna be, hopefully, it's above freezing right now, so hopefully it doesn't freeze up, but I've got to get some hydraulic fluid in there first because it's been leaking from the manifold. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in the video. I also want to show you the cutting edge because I've gotten a lot of questions about how exactly I did it. Even though it's pretty straightforward, I'm going to pull it off and I'll actually show you the cutting edge and show you how I did it. But I'm going to get the snow blowed first, and then we'll talk about that because this is kind of time sensitive. The temperatures are going to start dropping and I don't want to have it freeze up on me. I'm going to get the tractor filled with hydraulic fluid and we'll be on our way. Turned right around at the base of the driveway because I didn't want to stop. The snow is so watery that I was afraid if I shut down the PTO and you know, turned around and reset up the camera that it was going to freeze up on me and it wouldn't want to thaw. So I just turned around. We're shooting right back up the driveway now. I don't know if it picked it up on the video, but those ruts were really deep. So kind of coming back up the driveway, I didn't get as good of a pass as I really would have liked. I'm actually going to shoot back down the driveway again and hopefully clean it up a little bit. So I'll record myself going away from it, but I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to let the camera run, and we'll pick it up when I'm back up here. Well, y'all, I did it. I tempted fate and I lost. After I did the front of the house, I figured I would give it one last shot down the driveway and just send it and hopefully knock that center hump down a little bit. And I didn't break a shear pin, which is crazy. This year, I still haven't broken one shear pin, which is incredible. I can't believe it. This is the first year that's never happened. Part of it, I'm assuming, is just that I picked out as many rocks as I could. The other part of it, I'm guessing, is the last couple snowstorms I've had the edge mod on, which, you know, I'll show you tomorrow when it's light out. I have a little bit of time off tomorrow morning. We can talk about that. But, and it's probably hard to see because it's dark, I clogged the chute. Finally, there was enough wet snow, and it just clogged it up. It got in there, and all of a sudden it just stopped throwing snow out the chute, and I was like, oh, that's funny, because there's snow in front of it that I can see myself pushing. So I'm gonna grab a ski pole. We're gonna declog this thing. I've talked about this before. This is not something you want to do when you've got the tractor running. And you never want to stick your hand down there either. But a ski pole, being that you've got a long shaft and then this this round basket is what they call it at the end, this makes a perfect tool to grab that snow and pull it out and push it down further. And if we're being picky, I'm going to recommend a graphite pole over an aluminum ski pole, because a graphite pole, it has a little bit of bend to it that you can use to really get in there and bend around any of these hooks that you see there. A lot of people will take those off. I guess you can. I mean, really, you shouldn't be sticking your hand in there anyway, so if it shouldn't matter. Once I get that dug out, I like to turn the tractor on and throw the PTO on and get any snow that's left in everything out of the chute, because overnight it's going to freeze up, and the last thing I want is clumps of snow in there. You can spray Pam in there or silicone spray and other stuff too, and it'll help keep stuff from sticking. But in the really heavy snow like what we had tonight, I found sometimes, you know, clogs are just inevitable as it is, and you just got to deal with them as best you can. Now let's talk about that cutting edge, the leaky hydraulic manifold, and some other stuff going on with the tractor. All right, it's the next day, and we are back in the freezer. It was like 35 degrees when I shot that video last night, and as you can see, and hear probably, we are right back in the cold, and everything is frozen up solid. First things first, I want to give you a quick update on our hydraulic fluid leak from this BX manifold. I have been in touch with the dealer. The dealer and I are working out a time where they can actually send somebody up here to fix this. They mentioned they have upgraded parts from Kubota. I didn't get into the nitty-gritty of whether it was a recall or a TSB or something like that. We'll do a longer video on this in the future once we get it squared away. But until then, it has been leaking a lot of fluid. It's really kind of not cool that a tractor that's this new would do something like that. But for now, I've just been topping it up with the Kubota Super UDT that it takes for the hydraulic system, and just playing that game because I can't take the downtime with the tractor. We keep getting snow, and it's our main means of snow removal, so I need to use it. So until we get it fixed, I'm just refilling it with the UDT, Super UDT, and going that way. But we'll update you on this once I get everything fixed and once I find out from the dealer what the actual scoop is. So what I'm going to try to do right now is pull the cutting edge off. I didn't think about this last night. I wonder if the cutting edge is going to be frozen on. But I want to show you a little bit more about how it actually attaches to the tractor and how I built it, because there seemed to be a little bit of confusion. Some folks were asking questions about what I actually did because I didn't show all the parts of it. So let's try and get this thing off. So here is the cutting pipe edge that I've been using now for 3 storms, I think. You can see it actually has a slight bend in it. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up. But there is a spot right here where I can tell that I hit something, probably a rock, and it's bowed slightly. But other than that, it's wearing on the bottom, just like I expected it to. The paint on this pipe is worn off, but other than that, there's no visible damage to it. So you can see here with it off the tractor, just how simple of a design this was. There was a little bit of confusion as to how I was attaching it and the holes I was drilling for the carabiners at the end. But hopefully with it off, you can see what I did. Literally, there was just a slot cut in there that slips over the factory cutting edge on the tractor, which juts straight out. If my hand is the factory cutting edge, this pipe sits over it like that. And the reason why I used a pipe instead of a piece of rubber conveyor belt material is that the factory cutting edge doesn't fit straight up and down. If it did, I could use a rubber wipe or something like that, and that would help. But because it juts forward, if I put a piece of rubber on it, the rubber was just gonna go forward as well. I needed something that was gonna extend down. I maybe could have mounted a piece of angle iron to the factory cutting edge and then mounted a piece of rubber to that angle iron. That seemed like a whole bunch of extra work though that I didn't really want to do if I could get it all taken care of in one step. So slot got cut down the middle. That was relatively straightforward. I showed that on the video. The part that confused some people was the holes that I drilled and the carabiners that I used for a method of attachment. And here you can actually see what's going on. So if my hand is the factory cutting edge and it comes in here, what these carabiners do, the holes are drilled on the bottom at the ends, and the carabiners lock in so that this can pull the edge back, and by virtue of pulling it back onto the cutting edge, it's also locking this lip onto the top of the cutting edge. It's not going to be able to twist itself off. So with that locked on, essentially any rocks that come up to here hit the pipe, and then the snowblower goes up and over those rocks, which is really what we were looking for. I didn't want the snowblower ingesting rocks that would lead to broken shear pins and broken gearboxes and things like that over time. So the next question is, how has this really been working? Behind me you can see the driveway after I cleared last night. The snow that we got yesterday was really wet, really heavy, and I was hoping it would freeze up because we have some ruts in our driveway. While it does an awesome job on flat ground, if there's a rut that you're going to be traveling along, this doesn't allow the snowblower to get down into the rut. So here's the problem with any snowblower when you're dealing with a rutted driveway. You can see the ruts behind me are simply straddled. The snowblower cleared to the left of it, it cleared to the right of it, but the rut that was in the middle, it didn't push snow into the rut to freeze up, and it didn't get down into the rut and get the snow out of the rut or anything that was in the rut out. It just left a track where cars have gone up and down. That rut really isn't an issue because the hump in the middle of the driveway is not that high. The snowblower was able to take it down, no problem. But if it was too high and the snowblower couldn't get it down, it really would be a situation where we'd have to call in a bigger piece of equipment, or I'd have to put the bucket back on, which you can see right there is frozen into the snow and covered up. And I'd have to get the bucket and try to scrape off the driveway as best as I can. I could try to pull the skids up on the side of the snowblower, pull the pipe off, and then use the factory cutting edge on the snowblower to dig down a little bit better. But with the way things are frozen up right now, the first piece of ice that gets sucked into the snowblower, it's going to break shear pins, and probably it would just break a bunch of them going down the length of the driveway. It wouldn't be a one and done. It would be a continuous thing having to replace those shear pins. So both Jackie and I have four-wheel drive vehicles. It's not the end of the world to navigate a little bit of rutted driveway. We're supposed to get more snow a little bit later this week. After that snow comes, what I will do is have the driveway sanded. We have a local contractor that does it fairly inexpensively for us. I'll have him sand the driveway, and if we can get some sun on it, maybe we'll be able to melt down the frozen base a little bit and get a little bit more even surface to work with. Before we go, I wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be on My Cluttered Garage's live stream this coming Monday at 7 p.m. I know John from A Ritter Bit Will Do was on last week, so we are really excited to follow up in his footsteps. I'll put a link to the channel down below. Make sure you set a reminder to head over there. It's going to be Monday at 7 p.m. It should be a good time.